This is Heritage Roscoe, a Noir Revolver in 2025. The crew and I are back at Daryl's indoor shooting range today, taking a look at yet another snub-nose revolver. Today we're looking at the Heritage Roscoe. This is a 38 Special Plus P snub-nose revolver. I would say this is Heritage's take on the Chief Special. The Smith & Wesson purists will tell right out the gate. They'll probably point out all kinds of differences. It looks very similar to the Smith & Wesson Chief Special, though when you look at them side by side, there are some noticeable and obvious differences. Let's do the first cylinder of the firearm through the firearm. This is the firearm right out the box. We just gave it a quick cleaning, but we haven't fired it yet. So for our first test of the firearm, we will be shooting Federal American Eagle 130 grain full metal jacket range and target ammo. Our target is set up at 7 yards. I will shoot at our top left-hand target. My first 3 shots, I will do single action to assess the single action trigger. The last 2 shots, I will do as double action. As a follow-up, we do have a Smith & Wesson Model 36. We'll do that same thing at the top right-hand target to give us a little bit of a benchmark. Here we go. Okay, sights seem very easy to see. Let's see how she shoots. Maybe one hit on our target. Looks like I maybe pulled one of the double action shots way to the right. I might not be aiming quite low enough with the sight, shall we say. You do get some felt recoil. It's not terrible, but I would say it's a little bit on the unpleasant side. Let's just empty out the brass real quick for safety's sake. Now let's see how our Smith & Wesson Model 36 does. This one I will do at the top right-hand target. Same pattern. First 3 shots, single action. Last 2 shots, double action. The Heritage might have donated a hit to that target, which we'll ignore if we can. Here we go. I think I put a few more hits on our target with the Smith & Wesson, though I think I also may have got some blowback or something into my thumb with my grip. I'll have to keep an eye on that. Something was hammering into my thumb. The crew is going to shoot at the center of our target. They will do 1 shot single action, 4 shots double action. The Heritage Roscoe is a small frame, snub-nose revolver chambered in 38 Special. The 2-inch version that we're shooting today has an overall length of 6.5 inches, height of 4.8 inches, width of 1.41 inches, and weighs in at 22 ounces unloaded. This is a 5-shot revolver. It has a single action, double action trigger with a transfer bar safety and a 2-inch alloy steel barrel. The sights are a fixed front blade sight with frame integrated rear sight. Some other notes on the Roscoe are, it is a small frame revolver. It has an alloy steel barrel and cylinder with a carbon steel frame. 2-inch barrel, and 3-inch barrel versions of the firearm are available. You'll hear me talk about it being based on the Model 36, though it's probably more accurate to say it's based on the Taurus Model 85. The firearm also has frame-mounted firing pin with a transfer bar safety. The grips that come attached to the Roscoe are a checkered wood grip that have a diamond pattern around the screw hole, a nice classic style grip for this style firearm. Some owners report theirs also came with the rubber Taurus grips in the box. For a trigger, the Roscoe can be fired in both double action and single action modes. The double action trigger comes in around 12 pounds, while the single action trigger comes in around 5 pounds. Both, I would say, are a little more on the stout side, but it is what it is. For sights, here you can see that anti-glare fixed front blade with the frame-integrated rear sight. Those familiar with Heritage would probably be surprised to see that this is a much cleaner application of the sights compared to the Heritage Rough Rider many are probably familiar with. Being a small frame, almost J-frame style revolver, the Roscoe has a 5-shot cylinder. Compared to the Heritage Rough Riders, the finish on the Heritage Roscoe is a nice step up. It appears to be a polished blued finish that I think is a polished nitride. And one unexpected design feature they also included is along the sight rail at the top of the firearm has a matte finish rather than that high gloss blued finish. I believe that's to help with the anti-reflection action. Okay, our first cylinder through the Roscoe, the gun functioned well. I don't have the sight quite figured out yet, but we'll get there. What we've done to help us get the sight figured out is we put a full-size silhouette out at 7 yards. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 10 shots at our full-size silhouette using our Federal American Eagle 130 grain full metal jacket ammunition. All 10 of these shots will be using the double action trigger. Here we go. And I am going to aim at the number 9, not at the X bullseye, by the way. First shot was at the collarbone. Looks like my next 4, I kind of shot a line to the right of our number 9. Let's see how these next 5 do. Okay, here we go. Same thing, 5 at the number 9. Looks like, what? 5 more? Okay. Looks like I put 3 around the collarbone, 2 more in that same general vicinity to the right of the number 9. The crew has recommended I do 5 more. Here we go. I've noticed while shooting this revolver that the trigger return spring, we'll say it feels very vibrant, shall we say. It likes to spring back into place. Okay, it looks like 14 maybe of my 15 shots are on the silhouette. One of those was a little high of the collarbone. We got one almost dead center in the bullseye. Maybe two. It's hard to tell. At least one, maybe two. At the beginning of the video, you heard me say that the Roscoe felt like Heritage's take on the Model 36. Let's look at that now. Priced in the $800 to $900 ballpark, the Smith & Wesson Model 36 is going to be significantly more expensive than the Heritage Roscoe. For that extra expense, in addition to a different brand reputation, you also do get a smoother trigger and hammer, so at least you got that going for you. On the flip side, the Heritage Roscoe is significantly less expensive, priced in the $300 ballpark. You could say in comparison, it's maybe a little more rough around the edges. And being at the cheaper price point, you're going to have less emotional attachment to it, probably. And of course, there is that difference in brand reputation that goes along with the difference in price. I was tempted to say the Model 36 has less felt recoil. However, the Model 36 we're shooting in today's video does not have the stock, what I'm going to call classic grips on it, and instead has a nice set of Hogue grips on it. And I'm of the mindset those Hogue grips help blunt or absorb some of that felt recoil. One feature of some Model 36s that the Heritage Roscoe does not have is the hammer lock, or what some people affectionately refer to as the Hillary hole. If you're someone who despises that hammer lock, luckily for you, the Roscoe does not have that hammer lock. If you're a fan of the Model 36, you don't want the hammer lock, and you're okay with spending $800 to $900, Smith & Wesson has re-released the Model 36 as the Classic, which does not have the hammer lock. With the American Eagle 130 grain full metal jacket ammo having, shall we say, unpleasant felt recoil out of our Roscoe, let's now test another two different types of ammo and see if we can find something that's hopefully a little more pleasant to shoot. Okay, I am now going to take my turn using the Federal HydroShock self-defense ammo. This is 110 grain. The box says low recoil. We're going to put that to the test here. My first shot will be single action, my next four double action, all of them at the cranium zone. Let's see if I can put a hit on our target. Maybe 3 of 5.
I think you've got one dead center.
I think that was my single action shot.
What did you think of the recoil?
At first I thought it wasn't bad, but as I fired more rounds, it seemed like it got progressively worse. Got him in the ear.
I think the recoil was worse with this than the range ammo.
Really? Well, I noticed, and I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but it was like when you fired a sparkler going off. Okay, I just fired 5 shots of the Federal HydroShock low recoil 38. As a comparison of recoil, I've now loaded my Roscoe with what I would call our Cowboy 38 Special. These have a 158 grain lead projectile with 3.2 grains of Trail Boss powder pushing the projectile. I'll do the same sequence 1 shot single action, 4 shots double action at the cranium zone. And we'll see if we can tell the difference in terms of felt recoil. Here we go. Shift over a little bit to make sure we're on camera. Okay, I don't think that was any more mild on the recoil, unfortunately.
You don't think it was?
I don't think it was. In case you're wondering, this is what the Federal HydroShock, quote, low recoil ammo looks like from the shooter's perspective. Very 4th of July-ish. In the note section, you heard me mention that I think the Roscoe is more similar to the Taurus Model 85 than it is the Chief Special. Here you can see those two side by side. Model 85 on the left, Roscoe on the right. Other than the difference in finish and grips, the firearms are very similar. In fact, the only differences I notice are the Roscoe has an unshrouded ejection rod compared to the shrouded ejection rod on the Model 85. It looks like the cylinder release latch is slightly different, and maybe a slight change to the hammer, though other than that, externally, the Roscoe is remarkably similar to the Model 85. Looking under the hood of these two firearms, and at least to my YouTuber's eye, the guts of the Heritage Roscoe look identical to that of the Model 85. Interesting. The Heritage Roscoe is a fun, noir-esque revolver for 2025. It certainly has it budget-friendly on its side, though what else does it have going in its favor? Well, as we saw as today's video progressed and I got more comfortable with the sights, it was trending in the accurate direction. It was very reliable across all of the ammo that we tested through it today, which also off camera we fired a box of the Blazer aluminum 115 grain full metal jacket ammunition without issue through the firearm, though it had more felt recoil than we'd like through that ammo as well. On the downside, you do have that more demanding recoil, though otherwise the firearm is an excellent snub-nosed revolver. It is very budget friendly, especially when you factor in the Model 36 that it's competing against in today's video briefly is about 3 times the price, which is very unbudget friendly. So overall, the Heritage Roscoe might have won the day in terms of the head-to-head competition, if only on that price point. For the older, or shall we say, seasoned choosers out there, both firearms are going to have unpleasant recoil, though I think changing grips to something like a Hogue rubberized grip will help blunt some of that recoil. We weren't able to test that on the Heritage today, though in the Model 36's case, it had, I would say, more pleasant, though still unpleasant recoil, just a little better than our Roscoe had. Though price-wise, it's hard to argue with the Heritage Roscoe. Another thing that it has going for it besides price is, well, that cool noir factor. If you're someone who wants to play Jerry Orbach in your own homemade versions of Law & Order, or Corgis and Terriers as we call them in this house, you can certainly do that, and your prop master will thank you for going with the Roscoe over the Model 36. Look for part 2 of this video where we do the Heritage Roscoe against a Ruger, or I should say a pair of Ruger SP101s in the near future. Well, anyway, that seems like the perfect spot in today's video. If you enjoyed today's presentation, like the video, share it with your friends and family, drop a comment on there. Those things are free and they really help the channel greatly. If you'd like to help us make more of these videos in the future, look into becoming a member. Fred and I really appreciate you getting this far. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a good night. Are you ready for your French fry? Oh, hey, those are my French fries. This one's yours. Are you actually tasting it today, Frederick? Oh, he's chewing it. He's not actually just like swallowing it right down. It must be good. Must be good, huh? All right. Lunchtime. Where'd it go? You vaporized it.